If you could describe wellness in one word, phrase, or mantra, what would it be?
Choose love and intention in everything that you do and make sure that it's for you.
Welcome to Quest, a journey to wellness. On this podcast, you'll hear stories from queer folks and allies who've taken their happiness and well-being into their own hands by examining what they have found helpful along the way. My name is V, aka Vanessa. I'm a two-spirit human, joy influencer, energy worker, and a dad joke connoisseur. All pronouns accepted.
My name is Corey. My pronouns are he, him, they, them. I'm a trans-masculine digiqueer human. I love getting lost in nature, taking too many psychedelics, and anything reckless, really. We hope this podcast brings you joy, where you'll learn, laugh, heal, and grow.
What's up, queer kittens? Welcome back, and welcome if you've never been, and also welcome if you're not queer. What's up, Core?
How you doing?
Today's topic made me want to say a little joke, saying that I heard that you're a fun guy.
Yeah, it's true.
Well,
one of my favorite topics, fungus, fungi, fungi, however you want to say it, fungi. There's like 8 different ways. Yeah, I'm excited to get into mycelium and mushrooms, specifically in the fungus family.
which is super crazy because everybody's been asking me about if I've seen this show called The Last of Us, and I'm very like, everybody's doing it, so I'm not gonna do it. But Rafi ended up like getting me, and for those of you that don't know Rafi, that's my partner. She got me watching it, and it has to do with mycelium like taking over the world, and I'm just like, my mind is blown.
I had my feelings about the show, so I didn't watch it. And then my best friend came over and forced me to watch it under duress. So I heard some of it, but it was like mostly doom scrolling through it. I think my only hang up with it is, yes, I think mycelium will take over the world. It already has in a lot of ways. I think we're just learning how to utilize it more. But the show specifically, I don't know. I'm afraid that it's going to push propaganda into
for sure.
Communities that don't understand what mushrooms are. And there's some truth to the premise of it, which is, cordyceps have this effect on ants, specifically only ants, where it goes in and it kind of takes over their body and turns them into like these little zombie creatures that help spread more cordyceps. But it happening to people, cordyceps specifically, that's not going to do it. And so for me, it's a little bit of a propaganda scare tactic. But I hope everybody will take the time and learn a little bit about mushrooms with us in this episode so that they're not so scared of it.
That's what I was thinking too, because I was just like, man, if mushrooms really did take over the world, there's more good than there are bad mushrooms. That I'm like, people are not going to get violent and want to eat each other. Just the craziness of it all.
Yeah.
I was like, man, and they're just trying to scare us because mushrooms.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, because mushrooms is starting to get into mainstream media of like healing and the benefits of it. Because everybody thinks mushrooms, they think of psychedelics when they forget they have mushrooms on their pizza or something,
Exactly. There's so many functional and gourmet mushrooms that are in the world that aren't psychoactive.
Exactly.
Let's enjoy all the spectrum of mushroom.
Yes. That needs to be on a t-shirt.
Yeah. I'm on the mushroom spectrum. Exactly.
Right? Yeah, like the whole thing with How to Change Your Mind, like that, I think coming out on Netflix and such like a huge platform that it's able to reach so many people. I feel like it was kind of like, oh shit, everyone's not scared of mushrooms anymore because of Netflix. HBO, let's make them scared again.
Yeah. Well, I haven't seen the How to Change Your Mind, but I love Michael Pollan. All of his research and books and stuff all of it's amazing. But I'm gonna eventually get around to watching that.
Yeah, you
How to
should.
change your mind.
Yeah, they got a lot of stuff with Terrence McKenna in there too. And for those of y'all that are wondering who the heck both of these people are, Google them. Do your research. Or we'll put a link in the show notes.
You'll
Maybe
definitely
we'll
want to
be
know
nice.
who they are. I hope people can take away some knowledge from this episode that helps them not have mycophobia. Don't create a fear. Don't create a mycophobia fear by watching the show. I guess that's redundant because phobia is a fear. Don't get mycophobia. I don't know.
Go. But this topic there's just so much information that we had to split this up into 2 episodes. So this one will get more into the functional part of mushrooms. And in our next episode, we'll talk a little bit more about psychedelics and, just debunking the stigma that surrounds psychedelics. We hope you love this, and we're going to be bringing on our executive producer, Stevie Cua, and your business partner for Kinoko Chocolates.
And our guest.
Yay! Be our guest. Yeah. Be our guest. And in this episode, everyone is also going to learn our top 5 uses of mushrooms that will blow your mind. Just
kidding. And also any mentions of psychedelic entheogenic usage, hallucinogenic usage in here is not condoned. It's just for funny ha-has. Don't go out and do them. We're not encouraging that.
But we're also educating you that if you do decide to, how to do it safely.
It's on you. It's on you.
Definitely.
We are not condoning this, but you do you.
Right, but do it safely.
Without further ado, let's jump in.
My name is Stevie Cua. I am the co-founder of Kinoko Chocolates and also executive produce this show that you guys enjoy. I love tigers. I love mushrooms. Born and raised in San Francisco.
Can we ask your pronouns?
Just like UV, all accepted.
So I've always wondered how you and Corey met, because y'all are best friends, business partners.
Well, it's a very, very beautiful story. And I think that the dynamic kind of is very much the same today. I was out at a club, Bo in the Castro, and this very charming and attractive individual walks up to me in his underwear while I'm working on my phone. And
I was also working. I was go-go dancing. I wasn't just there in my underwear.
I mean, I was getting there.
I mean, don't put it past me, but yeah.
I was getting there, but, I think the thing about Corey and I is that we're definitely workaholics, but we also really love what we do. And Corey walks up to me and he says, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm building an order." And he's like, "An order for what?" And I was like, "Well, I work in the cannabis industry." And he says, "Me too." And I'm like, wow, well, let's find a way to make money. Let's do this, And we just instantly fell in love. You can meet someone and you vibe with them and you can't really put it into words why you feel this connection. But I just knew. I mean, for me, anyways, I rarely have love at first sight, but I'm pretty sure with Corey, it was definitely love at first sight.
Absolutely. There was just something that we already knew we were going to be business partners long term, from the get-go. I actually had an office by myself, and so Stevie would come over to my office, and we would just sit there and do our work and talk about weed. And it was really fun to talk about medicine and work with medicine.
Yeah. And that's just kind of one of the great things about cannabis where, it takes this holistic approach. And so I think that that's intertwined in that industry. And those in that industry taking an interest in wellness as well, health and wellness.
And both of you have
Yeah.
very magnetic personalities that are also healing. So you being healers by being who you are and also like working with medicine, it's super awesome.
Right. It's like, how do you deny that? And I will say we never completed that order.
To this day.
To this day. To this day, we never completed that order. But for anyone out there, I will say the one thing that Corey and I have been so great at is that we just keep trying. And sometimes we're successful, sometimes it doesn't happen, but we just keep pushing and we keep trying.
Yeah, speaking of that, y'all started a business together, right?
That's right.
Yeah, it's called Kinoko Chocolates. Kinoko meaning mushrooms.
In what language?
Japanese. So the idea behind it is to have people take in the benefits of certain mushrooms in a tasty treat.
So we do mushroom chocolates, and it kind of came to us as we were eating psychedelic mushrooms and realizing the benefits of psychedelic mushrooms and seeing a growing trend. There was a couple brands already at this time, and this was about 3 years ago, that had mushrooms in their products. And so we knew coming from cannabis, we could see a new industry coming. We sat in my backyard during the pandemic and we took mushrooms often, and we would come up with business plans and map out how we were going to do everything. And we grew a deep love for mushrooms, all mushrooms, the psychoactive and the non-psychoactive mushrooms. And so, yeah, we came up with a couple of blends. We bought so many mushrooms. I still probably have like 10 or 13 different types of mushrooms like ground up in my kitchen.
That we're still trying to get through 3 years later. No, I'm just kidding.
We actually started making tinctures at first. We made tinctures before the chocolates. And then we drifted into the chocolates. But
And then what mushrooms did you guys end up landing on to start manufacturing or distributing, or both?
Well, our first blend is called Clarity, and that combines lion's mane and cordyceps. And the point of basically each blend is very intentional. We want people to choose these blends based off their next activity or what their intention is. So we have blends like Rejuvenate, which is good for basically like anti-aging properties and things like that. But our first blend that we launched is Clarity, which includes lion's mane and cordyceps.
Tell me a little bit more about lion's mane and cordyceps, because I'm over here like, duh, wait a minute. I have an idea, a rough idea, but I'm not 100% sure.
I think with Clarity, one of our goals when we were talking about it was that we wanted people to wake up, eat the Clarity blend, and feel prepared for the day. So lion's mane is good for focus, and cordyceps is good as far as bringing energy to the muscles. But it's also really good if you're like as a pre-workout, because the chocolate will give you a little bit of caffeine. The lion's mane will help you focus, and cordyceps, like I said, is really good for muscle recovery.
so ATP is like a little molecule that like helps generate energy in your body. So it like feeds a lot of cells. It like feeds your body to keep going. So it's an energy boost.
Nice. I should start taking some of these before work.
Yeah, like Stevie was saying, you have the cacao, which is a medicine in and of itself, right? Which has caffeine, and that's a boost. And then the cordyceps is another energy boost, and the lion's mane is a cognitive clarity kind of like focus.
That'd be good. Me working late nights in the bar,
Yeah.
sometimes I'd be forgetting people's orders. So I think this might help me out now that I've stopped drinking.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because drinking,
Not that drinking would have helped
honestly,
you.
it was weird. I think that's when I realized I was becoming kind of reliant on alcohol, because I got to a certain point where I was like, I need tequila. I can't remember people's orders. I can't stay awake. Like, it helped me like stay on task and like move quicker with an ease, have more patience with impatient people. Like, it just helped a lot. So going back, trying to be sober, having those same things, you know, having healthier ways of doing it.
Yeah, tequila is actually a vascular dilator, so it helps bring oxygen into your muscles and relaxes you.
Oh, it
so
worked.
Probably helped with that. Oh, it made you relax. It just flowed like muscle memory, you know? That's cute.
Trying to get away from caffeine too, and you said that there's caffeine in there, and because I have high blood pressure, so caffeine and me are a big no-no. So I think that this,
well, it's caffeine from the chocolate.
which is okay. Which more so like
so
Red Bulls and stuff like that. I gotta stay away from. So this sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah,
I'll have to get some from y'all.
Totally. Like if you can eat chocolate, you know, be aware if you're diabetic or something, or caffeine is not your thing. But chocolate does have caffeine. We use a dark chocolate, so it just gives you a little boost, a little clarity. I like taking them kind of around. So I grew up and I didn't eat sugar before noon, so around noontime I like to pop them, and it's a cute little treat, especially because I love chocolate so much. So it was kind of all a passion project for us. Like, I love chocolate and mushrooms. Stevie loves mushrooms. Stevie found a love for
exactly.
chocolate.
That's why I'm kind of like smiling. Because honestly, I mean, I didn't really like chocolate before this. And then I started trying different chocolates, better chocolates. I started learning about chocolates. I tend to go down these rabbit holes and get a little like obsessive when it comes to new projects. I gained a deeper appreciation for chocolate. And now I want to try all the chocolates.
We could do a whole other show on just chocolate
totally.
too, and the benefits of that. To circle back about how we really started to fall in love with mushrooms is when we were looking them all up. They all have so many different benefits and such unique benefits. Like, not all of them help with the same thing, right? Like, some of them do completely other things. One of them, I think it was blase, I can't remember it, but it's known to help with like regulating blood sugar. Like, that's crazy. So we got to learn a lot about a bunch of different mushrooms. We hand selected a few, and we wanted to keep it simple, and I think we nailed it.
I think so too.
It's simple, it's yummy, and it'll get your day going. Pump some fire in your ass.
And speaking about all these benefits, we told people at the beginning we would let them know some top 5 uses.
This would be our top 5 uses, which one is microremediation. And this is a method in which fungus is used to clean up contaminated soil sites or remedial treatment into that construction zone or anything like that. And one thing that's really cool, kind of fun fact, is that, do you guys know about Chernobyl? Basically, like the nuclear plant meltdown and how like that affected the environment around. So it made it uninhabitable because of all the radiation.
Yeah,
so
crazy.
Scientists had discovered a fungus feeding on radiation, which I think is really cool. And how that might be applied in the future for maybe like space colonies, or just in general, how they can utilize that.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's wild, right? To think about that. Another really cool thing is like building materials, the mycelium, which is basically the root of the mushroom. And like, also, side note, you should probably look more into mycelium because it's really fascinating. It's not just like roots, but it is a network. And it's just, the concept of mycelium is just so beautiful, creating that network for plants to talk and trade resources. Like, that's really beautiful. But you can also use that mycelium to make building materials. Number 3 for me would be alternative fabrics like mushroom leather. I've come across some pretty nice mushroom leather. Yeah. And also, number 4, just basically like, historically mushrooms have been used in health through so many different cultures and so many different backgrounds. Greece, Eastern medicine. It's just kind of crazy that just now Western medicine is like finally accepting that these mushrooms might have health benefits for us. And number 5 is religious practices and spiritual journeys, which were used around the world and made popular, or I guess you could say one of the more popular stories is Maria Sabina, who is basically like that story kind of hit the mainstream media, brought by George Wasson, I believe his name was. And it just made it really popular. She was actually pretty upset that he had advertised and made public and took photos of her, but...
What was she doing?
She was a mushroom healer, and she would do ceremonies with people around town utilizing mushrooms as like spiritual cleansing and things like that. So she used it as like part of a spiritual practice and religion. And then I call him white guy came in and documented her whole process, learned about mushrooms and like hallucinogenic psychoactive mushrooms through her. Then went back and said, "Oh, there's mushrooms that contain compounds that have hallucinogenic like effects." And then he wrote a book about it, and then in the 50s, and then come like 70s, it was really popular, and because of the psychedelic movement, and people like Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix, they all actually went down and made voyages to Mexico to go visit her and have journeys and ceremony with her.
Oh, sick. So she was Mexican.
Yeah.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, I can't remember the town she was from, but we'll figure it out. We could pull it up somewhere.
Yeah. And then also I realized I think you might have skipped number 2.
So actually, it just helps in the conversion of hydrogen to ethanol. So it's a very highly efficient and cost efficient way of converting H2 to ethanol. So
that means making it less pollutive, or like, I'm not even sure if that's the right word. Not too sure.
It's
taking ethanol. Wait, say it again. It takes hydrogen, so it takes water. It takes like a water molecule, and it converts it to an ethanol, like an alcohol molecule. So if you mix these compounds, I don't know what specific compound you're mixing, but I'm sure if you extract some compound from a mushroom, you can use that to then convert. So you have like this shape of a compound. And then if you add another one, it converts it into another thing. And so the other thing is like I think Toyota actually makes a car that runs off of, is it hydrogen? It's the Miriam car.
Mirai or something.
Yeah, the Mirai car.
So basically getting away from fossil fuels.
Fossil fuels and batteries from like electric cars, because we don't know how to dispose of batteries from those things properly.
The front door.
Maybe mushrooms will be the answer.
Yeah, and just like extracting like that lithium from the earth is just so bad.
Yeah, fracking is not good. We're taking all this carbon, and I mean it's a limited resource. So when we run out, we run out. I don't know why we keep pushing. Oh, actually, it's money. Never mind.
That thing.
I do know the answer why we keep doing that. It's money. Never mind.
Yeah, like all this plastic, all this waste in plastic can be eaten alive by mushrooms, but yet we have all these waste places.
Fungus, yeah. Let's invest in fungus.
I think that we might just be in the beginning stages of all these, which is kind of really exciting. The future is mushroom.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what they say? Jesus was a mushroom.
Or I was going to say the future is fungi. Fungi.
I'd hang out with him. Sounds like a fun guy.
Fungi.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm a fungi.
She's dying. My dad joke got her.
We mean.
Just based off of all of this stuff, just these top 5 uses when I like try to correlate them all together, all that comes to mind is that these types of functional mushrooms, or just mushrooms in general, can literally save our planet, can save our humanity, kind of connecting them all and how beautiful that this is it's cleaning up radiation. I've also seen stuff about like this oil spill in, I don't exactly know where, but this oil spill from this train wreck, like the mushrooms can eat up all of that out of the water and like save the water and just can prevent further issues.
Yep.
It's just so beautiful. And I just keep saying like mushrooms are going to save the world. And whenever someone says it, I get so excited and I'm like, yes. And they're like, yeah. You definitely do a lot. And I'm like, so many, like lion's mane.
Yeah.
One of my favorite. It's so beautiful. It looks like a pom-pom, the way that grows out.
There is a spectrum of mushrooms, and we should appreciate the whole spectrum.
Absolutely.
I love that. Yeah, because Last of Us really scared. Got it in my mind, like, oh, well, what if? And then I was like, wait a minute.
Luckily, it can't affect humans the same way as it does ants, and they based it off of how it affects ants. So
I think
it's a good story. Love sci-fi.
Yeah. I've seen parts of Last of Us and I get so offended. I'm like, cordyceps would never do that to us.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to throw this out there. There's mushrooms and there's mycelium, and it's basically like if you were to imagine a tree would be a mushroom and the mycelium would be the roots. So just the anatomy of that really fast, like really basic. So when we say mycelium, it's the underground network. Like it would look like the galaxy or our neuro pathways in our body. Like if you were to just empty out all of our stuff and just have all our neurons everywhere, it would look like that. And that's the mycelium, and that's the mycelium network that I would love for everybody to create within their communities.
And
I
love how you brought up that word as far as network and combining that, because that's really what it is. And if you guys have seen Super Fungi, they touch on that as well when they're trying to rebuild the agriculture in, I forget the place, but they were trying to rebuild the culture. And what they figured out is that the mycelium network was actually acting as a network to transport different nutrients to different plants. So the mycelium network kind of spread out underground to all these other plants, like the jujube tree. It created an underground trade system between all these plants. So if one didn't need nitrogen, it would bring that nitrogen over to a different plant, and you would see that plant thrive. Like, wow. How crazy and how beautiful is that if we were to take that into our everyday life and into our community, and we were to share these resources? Like, I think there's just so much that we can learn from mushrooms, not just as far as the physical benefit, but also just the way that they operate.
Yeah, the symbolic like nature of what it is so beautiful. Like Stevie was saying, they communicate through the ground so that trees can communicate, and it passes along nutrients, and it does a lot of good. There are some bad myceliums, funguses out there, obviously. This is not an all good. Not every single one of them are good. Don't go picking wild mushrooms and eating them unless you know what you're picking. Yes. Some will make you violently ill and shit your pants, and some may cause death. So be aware. Treat it with respect as you would anything else that you don't know a lot about, which is maybe another teaching point for people as well. Yeah. To treat things with respect when you don't know about them.
And as a reminder that Corey always reminds me too, is that mushrooms are more closely related to us than they are to plants. And
mushrooms are in the middle. So we're equally as related to mushrooms as plants are to mushrooms, but we're closer to mushrooms than we are
There
to
you go.
plants.
See, that's why
Yeah.
he needs to remind me and catch
Yeah.
me sometimes.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's cool to hear you guys like talk about this because I've watched How to Change Your Mind, Fantastic Fungi, and like seeing the mycelium and how beautiful that it all works and how you never see a whole bunch of trees alive and one dead because they take care of each other. And just like the thought of like us learning that from them, is just, it's so beautiful. And I was curious while you guys were talking about it, the functional and psychedelic, do their mycelium networks like all kind of interconnect, or is it just like the network is just connecting everything in general?
It's an individual body, right? So like say oyster mushrooms, for instance, right? Their mycelial network is an oyster mushroom mycelial network. So whenever it comes to fruiting, which is basically its procreation, it creates this mushroom to release spores so that it can spread its little seeds so that it can eat up and create a bigger network. So whenever it comes and fruits, that mycelium network is creating that specific mushroom. So you wouldn't get like an oyster mycelium network creating a psilocybin like mushroom. But that psilocybin mushroom would have its own mycelial network that would then, when it's ready to like fruit and create little offsprings, it would create that mushroom. So the mycelium is an individual network, but they all function the same kind of way, So it's like our innards are basically all the same, but we look different.
And they're also like telephone lines is what I think I saw on one of those shows. That's how the trees talk to each other. They talk to each other through the mycelium. So they're like, operator.
Yeah, exactly. Just like imagine your brain and all the like things. Hello. Like imagine your brain and everything flowing from it, and how if you touch yourself here, it sends that whole signal back up and it says, oh, I'm being touched here. It's like that whole network that's working would be like a mycelium network.
So cool.
Right? So everything inside of us that is just like those little tendrils of neurons and everything, that's what the mycelium network would look like. And it sends information all the way up and down.
That's awesome. And talking about mycelial networks and taking care of each other and all of that, if there's any other things that you'd want to talk about?
I encourage everyone to really research mushrooms and see what best fits your life, even if it's not what we offer with Kinoko.
Also, there's a book, Mycelium Running, and we'll put that in the show notes, but that's a really good one. But it has like all the benefits of the different mushrooms.
What? I got to get that book.
Yeah, so like which ones have been traditionally used for like lungs or liver or what is this, ovarian stuff. So yeah, it's super, super amazing.
I'm excited for our next episode where we break down our stigmas, or not our stigmas, or just the stigma in general against psychedelics, and sharing our own personal stories. And we get to have you again.
I'm excited about it too.
Yeah, thank you for being here today.
Me too.
Thank you. Thank you guys for being such great additions to my life.
I'm honored.
Likewise.
Same.
That was awesome. We got to have your best friend here on here, and we're gonna get to have them again.
Yeah, thank you, Stevie, for popping on. Even though you have anxiety, you dealt with it like a champ.
Yeah.
The next episode is going to be really fun. That's like my jam, and I know it's Stevie's jam too. And it might be a lot of other people's jam, which is psychedelics, and mushrooms happen to be also fall in that category.
it was really awesome to kind of learn a lot more of what different functions are behind different mushrooms, from fuel to building materials to eating up radiation. I was like, that blew my mind. And I already
absolutely.
I already knew the medicinal and spiritual stuff, because I do that with my own personal practices. So it was really awesome to like learn some more and learn this spectrum of mushroom, as you called it.
Exactly.
Beautifully so put it.
Yeah, and also like continue to learn about different types of mushrooms. Like that's the things that they can do are really cool, but when you learn the individual mushrooms, you get to find out even more of what it's capable of. Thanks to everybody who stuck around and listened to us talk about mushrooms, and next week I hope to have your ears be ours again so we could talk to you about psychedelics.
Yeah. Bye, y'all.
Till next time, ciao.
We have so much more to explore and to share with you. Tap that follow or subscribe button to get every episode as soon as it's released. Leave us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And join our wellness community on Instagram at Quest Wellness Pod. Also, be an official supporter of this podcast by leaving us a tip. The link will be in the show notes. This podcast was produced in collaboration by Kinoko Chocolates and Puka Puka Creative. Executive producers Stevie Cua and Corey Houston. Producer, editor, sound designer Leah Jackson. Associate producer Rafaela Landestoy. Original music produced by Basque. His music is amazing. And we can't forget about the emotional support of our fur babies by Frankie, Ruby, Nugget, and Pukalani.
What did the mushroom say to the other mushroom?
What?
You're a fungi.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've been told.
The yeah coming from the other dad. Yeah. It's not as good as the solo fungi. That is such a dad thing to do, though. Yeah. Okay.
Dad joke to dad.
Someone
Dad
just-
to dad.
Guilty.